was wonderful. So many it takes to desire me. I wonder. I am so grateful, so very grateful. Fong talked about that review he asked me to do of that old book, and that's part of my gratitude. He asked me to write. He gave me an occasion to write. He said, do this. You know, the earliest English poetry, according to the Venerable Bede, was when an ignorant, illiterate cowherd named Cadman, lying asleep in the straw, heard a voice in the sky saying, "Say, Betty Wahoo," which was to say, "Sing me something." Almost like, "Sing me something, baby," but it was a voice that spoke in Old English because that was the language of the people. So Cadman said, "I don't know any word, leave me alone," and went back to sleep. Again it happened, and again he said, "Leave me alone, please, I'm asleep." And the third time it happened, he opened his mouth to say, "Leave me alone, you bugger angel," and instead what came out was, "No should the hell even have a gracious word, Methodist master, take your mode, you thunk." I.e., the earliest English poetry that we have, of praise to heaven. I.e., the poet is somebody who is summoned into speech. He doesn't come just out of saying, "Ooh, I could get a grant if I..." That comes years later, years later. It comes. So I'm in a situation of having Fong, my angel, saying, "Write me something about this book." I said, "Oh, all right. What can one do? What can one do?" Some of the loveliest work I've done, my happiest work, often from people. I see someone's picture, Sherry's picture, Heidi's picture. That was the piece that you just heard, fantastically sung by Nicole, was a piece I've never heard before. I heard pieces of it, a part of it on tape, on videotape, CD or something, I can't remember the format. But it was done for Haida Hartley's show in Boston at John Vanovsky's gallery last year, in terms of a recognition of the work of John. I never got to the show, but it was dealing with the oil spill and its consequences on wildlife, including us. So when the singer becomes the pelican at the end is recognition that we are all scummed and ended and ruined in our beautiful skin, our lovely skin. But Nicole sang that song, made that song and sang it. I feel that's the kind of gratitude I have, both for what I'm made to do by being solicited into work. That's what makes me happiest, when people ask me to do something or write something. As left to myself, I'm left to myself. And that's not good company, as you know. Otherwise, we would not be, what do we call, social animals, because we don't want to be left to us. So we're perfectly happy alone, but at the same time, we're not left to our own resources, because it's pointed out by, in Levi's talk, we're never alone when we're reading and writing. Gratitude. So that's one specific kind of gratitude. The other kind, of course, I feel towards all of you for being here, for Ken, for Elizabeth, for Fong, for Levi, for Jonas, all people I have loved in different ways, for different lengths of time and in different connections, who all in some curious way now have come and turned all those threads into one beautiful fabric that looks before me. The gratitude for their love and concern. But the other kind of gratitude, I mean, is the sort that I want to give to you. I mean, I feel immensely grateful to you for all you've spoken, done, heard, listened, been present for. And that makes me think that the greatest perception I know in the world is gratitude. That underneath desire, fear, and all the other things, operating always for us when we are happiest and at our best, is the sense of gratitude and reverence for things around us, for people. To say thank you all the time, no matter who you is. Thank, I think, is connected with think. I think thank goes with think. It meant love in Taharian, the old Indo-European language, the Far East. So think, thank, love, all go together in some way. And I think if we walk in gratitude, And it's not easy to do, you know. It's not just a matter of having someone step on your foot and you say, thank you. Though you can do that and get some distance with it and from it. But I'm so grateful to those who have made me work, to those who have brought me here, to those who have thanked me and allowed me to thank them. Because, and to see in the terms that Tom had recognized in that piece about Edward Young, that was a fantastic piece for me to get to. Not necessarily the writing of it, but suddenly to realize that what the piece, what the passage, the very passage he chose to read so beautifully. And I loved hearing it in another accent from mine, because then you never know what you've said until you hear someone else saying your words. If I have any advice to a poet, it's to get a friend to read to, or even better, get an enemy to read to. Get somebody who has no sympathy whatsoever for you, then you really begin to know. Anyway, but Flom read that beautifully, and what he read was a place that I had come to only through the agency of that commission to do a review, namely, that a poem doesn't end with its own textuality. That's just the beginning. The poem is the spurt of sperm or the spurt of something that comes out, and that has as its consequence everything else that comes, all the poem's translations, adaptations, perversions, stupid school papers about them. All the stuff that happens, all the stuff that a poem initiates is part of it. And finally, one reason why probably Shakespeare lives in the highest heaven is that he's given work to so many people. He is like an eternal WPA. Always there. All of us who can't do anything else can work it, write on Shakespeare, or act in Shakespeare, or talk in Shakespeare, or pretend that we know something about Shakespeare in school. It's wonderful to think of authorship giving gratitude occasion to the world. Anyway, I'll read just a couple of things because I know the time presseth, and I'm anxious to see what they have planned. Well, I want to read one piece from Fire Exit. Because that's a book that's been spoken of a lot, and it's a book I love. And it felt to me when I wrote it like the work that I was aiming for. So since you speak of desire, this is one. It's written in 3-line stanzas, and there's not a great deal of punctuation. Sometimes only when necessary, or I want a particular kind of pause. But the punctuation is seldom organic or grammatical. Turn into that which you desire. Reinstate the heart of the other in the heart of the self. And a gull has pointed wings that go in 2 directions he is not going. We are in the country where things turn into themselves. No syntax left, nothing to hide, a growl of hunger deep in a cave of sane, where we wait our turn in the sun glare. The names we give our obsessions, go there and buy something that knows you. That knows your secret name. Buy a day-old rose from country gardens, a tune I guess you've heard before, or always knew, but you are on the other side of music. The devil licked it with your tongue. Skin-tight clothing of the rock, loose lubricity of the sea's peignoir, green as amber. Why did you say that? How do you let yourself be so wrong? Because a breeze speaks me, an air inside the understanding, like a cardinal of the church or a martyr burning, still mindful into the exhausted air. That's what he meant by turning something into what it is. Already from the beginning, sea without land, amen. Most of the sections of Fire Exit, which was published in Boston last year, are written quietly that way, but a few of them are more obsessive. I want to read one obsessive one, not obsessive, but one that deals with the obsession of language. It's section 86, which you remember from luncheonette days meant we're out of it. And when you ordered a butter can, and they said 86. They had no one here. So I like this section particularly to locate this poem. Zebra, part of sea, with stripes, a bass, a rock pointing into the wind, always, traits of some word you can read, tread, your name, the will, a hoof, a hard place in the sky, by wounds, north wind, leafy, remember leafy, cross, spear, hammer, zebra, ankle, past of the sea, retold to children their skin, purest ivory from tusk of slain beast, narwhal, walrus, zebra, your name, riding on another's crown, a bead of spit, throw on your lip, revenge for, pocket calculator hidden in whose clothes, determines measure, hold mass, hold me, bridge, wine, rock, fish, cloud, capax, neuter, nimble, rim, prod, press, hold, forget, dwell, dwell, dwindle, then wake up, lady in waiting, cork, spill, taper, gizmo, little flame, name, noonless name, agglutinative, frost, cat ice, dowel, rosary, semaphore, meat rack, woman at noon, leaf, love, gold, trajectory, channel, mirror, corridor, oration, barley, shadow, shelter, moorland, zebra. So, this is the uncertainties that George spoke of, and Nucro spoke of too. And this is whereas Fire Exit is all 3-line stanzas, Uncertainties is 2-line stanzas. You can see what my next long book it started already. So I thought maybe I could read a couple of sections of this. I had a plan. Went with Beat's poem, like yesterday, he disappeared, the plan fell away. I'll read a couple of these. I think it makes some sense to read. 61. Whether it exists or not is hardly the question. The reverence of our mindset toward it is. Passionate reverence is the heart of bliss. It makes us happy caring for the world, no matter. Even grasping then becomes a kind of blessing, and letting go a kind of sin, he said, and I was prone to listen. Then I rolled over and saw the stars. The light came down, test every word. Not everything that anybody thinks is wrong. Not every word a masked assassin. Sometimes you have to kiss to taste their minds. Every girl learns that soon enough. Knowledge makes blood break out of her body. Gaunt moon, the upshot of her cry. Every sentence has its puberty in you. Test it, taste it, love with it. In the infinite lifetime, a second or two. Then read on and let the scarlet carpet float you through the middle night bazaar, wording one by one the things you need until your philosophy is complete. That system of thought you call your body, work the reverence from which I speak. I jump to 64. The world's a lot of money for a family quarrel. We're the garage where someone's auto's stored. We are mice in the shadows of machine. We have all our sciences to ease anxieties, our poesies to speed us to sleep. Sometimes big doors are open by themselves, it seems. Light floods in the dirty little windows only hinted at. We stand astonished as the thing rolls in. All history is scarred of such arrivals, prizes for meekness and desuetude. The earth shall inherit the earth. So Isis woke and looked about her. She still is looking, we call it our thinking. It is she who haunts our neurology, hunting for the absent gesture, father power lost somewhere in our mess of meat. She plucks the strings of me, you too, muchacha, till the girl in us stands like the man she lost. Then Osiris wakes. Oh, sir, is us. We are children we pretend don't understand. You don't need any other book but this. It's all in here. Only the stories are left out. "65. Give you flowers, you give me ground. Now rub your hands and make sun rise. Go milk that cloud of one more morning. Language is breakfast, but what's for lunch? Every answer is an epic. The word is spoken, the hero dies. Whenever we understand, then something happened. This road goes nowhere, thanks be to God. A candle in the desert lighting nothing but itself. Eve's apple is the only creature left. Pick up a piece of water and bring it to her lap. She might coax it to be him again. Out of holy merriment, out of no need, she can do it all herself, she did and does. No banker's diamond gleams so indigo, people always at the bottom of the hill, stupid endless pathway to a cloud shroud peak. Her apple gives us just enough strength to climb." This is the last one from this end. "Heaven and hell, the same city, differently dwelled. It is dwelling things that make them what they are. In that city, more trees than men, more avenues than women, and the houses talk. Houses prowl around the woods at night. Morning wakes up a different animal. Astonishing vistas of the ordinary. We live in the quiet of these crowded woods. So busy with desires and arrivals, you can hardly hear their workmen hammering." Now, I was going to say that that was the most recent book, except that Lynn Barrett, rather wonderfully to my surprise, brought out just today a little chapter called Runaway Horses, and it seems to be by me. It's a Lions chapter, 2011, Red Hook, New York. If Lynn is here, I'd thank her for. Let me just read a little bit. I'll just jump in the middle and start reading. "Smiling gauchos with insolent sombreros chat on my mother tongue I used to have. There are voices everywhere. There is nothing to forget. They filled my mind again with images. They forced my memories out. No room in the inn. The Christ child caught in your hair. That picture will not help me now. Chilly Fitzwilliam, clean manuscript illegible. Who was even looking when you stood naked on the hilltop crying my name, holding out towards me the jawbone of a deer. Its little grinding teeth came loose, scattered gemstones on a mischief earth, an old man calling for his father. Mischief in a mirror, Melchizedek, is it you with wine-stained clothes? Offer me your cup, for I drink no wine. But there is something other in it. My leprosy lets me swallow stone. You are an odd priest to meet in this sad stand. An odder even woman in the park. Yes, it was Vienna. We lied about different things, and that was the end of music. Diamond in the shuttered window, bend to look. Lovers at dawn, uneasy now, because they have to go back to language. Or there it is again, the written page, touched and not read, seen but not touched. All our senses, each its own delusions, every sense its own desolation. I rode into town looking for you. The locusts leapt about our legs. Who killed that deer, I wonder? I think the paper tells the real name of her. There are few angels west of Donegal, and the horses had vanished in the sea. America was old even before the Indians got here late. So old it was the early island, garden from which the first humans fled, began their migrations to square the roundish earth, slowly, wisely made their way back. Hopi came home first, holding scraps of maps, scribbled paper in their hands. To find the way, they listened to the wind that always lies and always tells the truth. And the wind says what it always says. You're here already. And the earth said, there's nowhere else. Sit down and feel me beneath your bones. Now I'm going to say one more moment too, because I have a superstition, or I have many superstitions. but one of them has to do with reading the most recent poem you're reading, no matter what it's like. So I mentioned that there was this one-line poem. You may have intuited that there's going to be a poem in one-line stanzas. And in doing that, I am traversing the world from which you heard some this morning from George Quasha, whose exemplary book called Preverbs, a long poem called Preverbs, many, many volumes, many sets, I should say, is coming out now and will be coming out more. But that has been an exemplar of what you can do one line at a time. So it may be that I'm traversing his sacred ground, but it wouldn't be the first time. So, with his unchecked permission, I venture into the line by itself. Anyway, I don't know the name of this poem yet. It's just been, I started on May 1st, and this is the most recent one I've typed out just a couple of days ago. It's in one-line stanzas, but there are 6 stanzas in each cluster. I suppose for Harvey Bialy and the hexagrams, maybe something like that. Or the beehive. Please don't blame me if you don't like this, because I don't know what it is yet. So this is section 40, group 40 of this. Each thing is itself and something else. Salt and pepper, snow on gravel, customs fetched back from the Indies. No time for clocks in this puce cheek. Spank naughty mothers who won't leave their child alone. They claim that that's for living in my joists. Soft elbows are too long a sweep. Write or play the piano, nothing else, he said. Organ grinder leads your monkey to the wind. Let me tell you weather is no free lunch. We pay for every pleasure, and even more for pain. Silly, soulish people say what comes into their heads. The girl who reads the meter trains the lights. We are trapped in the evidence of thwarted felonies. At least, let me hold your scarf while you shiver. A sneeze is a confession of complicity with the outer world. Note down her offenses in a little book. After a while, the book becomes your heart. Any book, how long you wear it. This is true, if even that. Fewer jays, less aggress, but a hawk or two. I have to keep explaining my job is. Bees told Virgil Trojans were suppressed at last by Latins. Nobody knows how to read a poem anymore. I want to say one last thing, and I mean it, even though it's the way everybody ends every reading, everything else, but I really mean it, as they say. I really mean it. Thank you.